Hey everyone, it's Kenlyn, and welcome back to my channel for the Astro and Energy Report for the week of July 27th. We are in the reverberations of a new moon in Leo opposite Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 2 degrees. It's huge. We had a similar energy last year in a new moon, but we hadn't had one for 250 years prior to that. So we are working with game-changing, very big, changing energy. And I like to think of Pluto as the unmovable mover, divine will, the divine hand is in the mix. When it opposes this new moon, what it's saying and what it said, and you can go back to my video on the new moon, is something had to give. Something is complete. Something is being phased out. It is done. Whether that is a mindset or an actual event or both, because really our mindsets are in everything. What we think is possible, what we don't think is possible. All of that, Pluto is breaking it down. So maybe we didn't want to get rid of a relationship or a job or move or friends because we were afraid of something. But Pluto, like that divine will, is coming in and it's shifting the decks, changing it out. You cannot take it with you. Your identity is being up-leveled. It is being completely shifted and changed, because what's required in the future is a new self. I just got a text this morning from a friend who said that he and his partner filed for divorce a few days ago. This has been ongoing for a year, but of course, this Pluto opposition is saying you did everything that you could do. You worked it. You did your best. Excellent job. And now you guys get to go in other directions. I got new assignments for you. And that's really how we can hold our personal growth. It's not failure. It's that we have come to the completion point. And now we must continue in a new direction, in a new normal, outside of our comfort zone for new instructions. And so know where Leo and Aquarius is in your chart, because those are the energies that are being challenged. Let's look at that axis and see what that is. So Leo, our self-expression, this is our shining from the heart, our courage, our leadership, our ability to lead. That's like the most positive way. The shadow is ego. But imagine just your radiant self beaming from your heart center, when you're really on point, when you're really in the flow, when you're really doing the thing that only you can do, the way that you can do it. We all do similar things, but it's the way you do what you do. That's that Leo expression. And that gives you your magnetism and your courage and your bravery. I mean, really step in and feel that. And then it's opposite Aquarius. So what is that standing for? Well, you probably know by now, Aquarius is the collective. It's group consciousness. It's community consciousness. It's all of us. It's the bigger move, whereas Leo's the individual. So when we start to integrate those energies, what we're saying is, how can I use my gifts? The thing that only I can do in service to the collective. I hope you're asking that question right now. I think that's one of the biggest questions of our time, especially for midlife women. You've raised your kids, you're done. Maybe you are divorced, maybe you are widowed, you're on your own. It is your time to shine. But shine for what? Well, for this collective transformation. We're going through a huge, massive transformation. So let's look at the effects of this new moon. I'm filming this actually on the day of the full moon, of the new moon. And therefore, I'm feeling those effects. And you could be crystal clear about what's leaving, or you could be still confused, and it's going to reveal itself, because we're going to have Mercury retrograde touching in on the sun, burning away confusion, burning away anything that was clouding your view. You're going to see clearly now. What is it? Little breadcrumb trails of what it is I'm here to contribute in my personal self-expression. And you also can look at, where is this showing up in your chart? Is it relationship? Is it creative projects? Is it your interior? Is it your work? Is it your career? Like, where are these transformational energies taking place? And that's how you create your new moon statement, your affirmation, your I am statement, because I am is a statement of being. And that's what's being shifted inside of this matrix that we're talking about right now. So, really, you can think of it as conscious leadership. What is your particular flavor of conscious leadership? How does your personal self-expression in a way that's uniquely you contribute to the transformation on a collective level? I was thinking about, as I'm in Telluride on vacation, it's a beautiful place, and I'm walking around in nature thinking about, what do I feel in my body is the most important conversation in a sea of tons of important conversations, and many things vying for my attention, scandals and all kinds of stuff, corruption that's being unearthed. And we know Pluto is not Pluto, but Neptune is retrograde. And when Neptune's retrograde, secrets come to life. And boy, are you seeing a lot of secrets coming to light. So I'm looking at all of that, and I'm really asking myself, where do I need to tune in? And when I think about the mass deportations from ICE and the way that there's no due process, and it's functioning like a Gestapo back in the Nazi Germany era, that to me is where I'm like, no, that's where I feel that Pluto retrograde saying, absolutely not. No, this is not right. This is not how a democracy functions. And there's this collective, like, we've had it up to here. We've heard too many stories. We are done with this shit. So the citizenry is like, woo, getting stoked, the fire's getting stoked. And here for the next month, happening starting this next week, I believe it starts on July 26th. Yeah, we have Saturn sextiling Uranus, and big things have happened in the past under this geometry. It's going to be around for about a month, like Berlin Wall stuff, like anti-inflation movements, like people are sick of inflation, that kind of thing. Watergate, the corruption of the office of the president. I mean, you can't make this up. So here we have the energies. Pluto is, Pluto's a stand for the collective. Pluto's a stand for egalitarian community, not top down. That was Capricorn. So we are feeling the last vestiges of this way of governing that I believe Pluto is going to create a wrecking ball with. And it's going to come through the people. It can be no other way. So that's why you maybe have outgrown the old identity, the old ways of being, because you are getting a new assignment. So if you can imagine, if you've been married for 25 years, or you've been in the same career for 30 years, how much calcification has happened in your being? Because there's patterns that develop, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's just how it rolls. But Pluto's just like taking a jackhammer to all of that and breaking up that calcification. And that's freaky. We're like, okay, wait, where do I go now? And so there's this confusion about what's next. What do I do? Where do I go? You only have to have the next right step and just trust, because that Saturn, that Neptune has got us. We're going to be dreaming a new dream. But really what has to happen is the new dream has to have your personal power inside of it. It has to, because we are the people. If we tolerate this shit will continue. But when we say no, as communities are, when, say, ICE shows up at a restaurant, then people blockade it and say, you know what? No. And really, if you're a white privileged person, this is your time to show the fuck up and and be the change agent to protect those like who do not have the rights, or are they have the rights, but their rights are being overshadowed. You know what I'm talking about. This is our time. This is our time to get our self-expression on the line for the collective, for the world that we want to see. So yeah, if you've been thinking about this, I hope I'm, highlighting something that creates a fire in your belly. Where is your passion? That's where you go. Where the heat is, that's where you go. I'm just giving you my heat. You can be like, yeah, that's my heat too. Or your heat can be in another place. Great. That's where you go, where the heat is. That's your passion. That's your fire. That's magnetic. That's where the doors open. That's where the flow opens. That's where the wealth comes in. That's where you're taken care of. I spoke last week with the gal who, she was in my summit. You might remember her. She was the shapeshifter transmission in my summit, Lisa Wimberger. And she did this heroic thing. And I was asking her about it. And so I'm going to interview her. Honestly, it was freaking awesome. It happened after, I believe, after the summit. And she was driving through in the dead of winter underneath a bridge, and she saw all these people and like babies that didn't have any clothes that were like underneath this bridge. And she was on her way to get a facial. And she said that she's like, I could not see that. And so on her way back, she found out what was happening. And it was a bunch of immigrant people that the United States had let in, but did not give them homes or anything. And they were coming from warm countries. And so they had no preparation for the winter, including young babies. So whether you agree or disagree, we don't even care. What we care about is this was a humanitarian problem. They're here. They're innocent people, babies that were being affected. So fast forward, she raised over $75,000 and negotiated homes, temporary homes and permanent homes for many families, and got them sustainable. So I asked her about it, and she said that was one of the rare occasions in her life where something came through her and she was in massive flow state. And I witnessed it. Every day there were like all these people on Facebook just at the edge of our seat wanting to know what was happening next. And things were happening. So when your mind goes, yeah, that can't happen. Who am I to do that? I don't really know, like apathetic crap like that. Find your fire and jump in. And so that is what this reverberation of this new moon is inviting. Find the fire and jump in, do something. It's requiring movement. Remember, we are in the signature of air and fire. It's not around sitting around navel gazing. It's get into some kind of action. And really, we can't do things by ourselves. We're not here to do them by ourselves. She enrolled many, many people to support and help and donate and do all the things. And then when it was complete, it was complete. No more. The energy was gone. It moved through her, and then it was gone. And that's what we got to get good at. When we are good at sensing that, and we don't have our mind stuff like guilt, martyrdom, those kinds of things at play, when we can recognize the difference, then we can be a conduit of that powerful energy. And then when it's done, it's done. And yes, there's still a ton of need, right? Tons of needs out there. But my role is done. My role is complete. And then I turn and I wait. Where is my next assignment? And that's how you follow the heat. Let me say a few more things about what's going on this week. Woo! So we had that Saturn sextile Uranus. That's going to be pretty game changer. We have Venus in Gemini is going to sextile Chiron in Aries at 27 degrees. So again, we're going to get some deeper healing. We have sorted out a lot in our lives, and let's consider that this aspect is going to really bring us some soothing to the wounds that got activated. we're going to have that energy will be around for about 3 days, starting on the 27th of July. But then Chiron is going to station retrograde in Aries. So if you are in your Chiron return, which means you're about 50-51, it's this Chiron is going to go from 27 degrees Aries back to 22. So you want to know what degree your Chiron is. If you are in that 50-51 time stage of life, then you will have this retrograde. I had it in Pisces. It just keeps going over it just to make sure. This is the wounded healer. This is your wound, the big wound that you came in, and you get this time with this Chiron to revisit the wound and heal it once and for all. So I'm just telling you, this is a big healing time. Claim your healing. You're not that little person who came into the world that had to figure it out. You are now in your 50s, and this is where we clear this out. Thank you, Chiron. Thank you, Venus, helping us out here. Then Venus on the 30th moves into Cancer. It's a water sign. It's going to bring up more emotions. And then on the 31st, Venus is going to square Saturn and Neptune. And those are those opportunities to reevaluate. What's Venus stand for? Money, love, materiality, our relationships. So lots of review happening in here, and that square is going to help. So remember, we are in retrograde time, retrograde season. Many planets are in retrograde. Celestial bodies like Chiron, the asteroid, is going to station retrograde this week. And then the sun is going to conjunct Mercury retrograde. And that's like where that moment of purification happens, where the old thought forms have a chance to be burned away so that new clarity, new thought forms. So if you're into affirmations or any of the techniques that work with your thinking, I can't think of NLP or theta healing, those kinds of things, this is a very good week to be working on your mind. Maybe even lofty questions. How could it get any better than this is a great one. Do those practices because Mercury is in this place to get the old patterns really burnt out of your mind, purified out of your mind. The collective is really helping us out. The cosmos is helping us out so that we can really become new people. This is huge. It's big. Be gentle on yourself. Be good to yourself. Really tell yourself, you've been doing a great job. There's no failure here. There's just new assignments. And those of us who are in midlife, we have big new assignments, stuff that we've never seen before. I mean, everybody does, but we're aware of it as we're in midlife. So I think we're going to wrap up here. I think the last piece to clarify is that when Chiron stations retrograde in Aries, it's a healing for all the things Aries. And what is Aries? Aries is I am. So this really supports that Leo new moon energy and your self-expression and leadership. So wherever you've been wounded in your I amness, your right to exist, your right to express yourself, your right to take care of yourself first, putting on your own oxygen mask first, all of those things, your right to be here, all of that is what is coming into healing with this Chiron retrograde, like a spotlight on it, because it comes up to be dissolved. So beautiful times, because your leadership is required here. Your stand is required here. I like to look at the big picture because I am an individual inside of a collective movement. And I matter. What I choose to do matters. So let's take all of the positive energy that we have generated here to really understand that you matter, that I matter, that we matter. And it's our moment. And let's beam it out. Let's wrap the whole world in this beautiful golden energy. May all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts.